My parents are polar opposites. They could not be more different. My dad is emotional and demonstrative and funny and loud, and my mother is prissy and southern and quiet and reserved. He was raised Church of God and Pentecostal, and she was raised Baptist, and they're just totally different. They worship different, they act different, they talk different. And when my mom was in her early 20s, they were pastoring a church, and the parsonage was in the basement of the church, and the church was on top. And my mother began to get a stirring for the fullness of the Holy Spirit. And she said one night, and I don't remember if you remember this, but a few weeks ago I talked about one of the things that will hinder us from the more of the Holy Spirit is when we choose our comfort over disruption, because the Holy Spirit is rarely convenient. So it was in the middle of the night, he woke her up, and her heart was thirsty. She had gone from skeptical to curious to thirsty. And she said, all I knew was I just wanted to be with Jesus. And she said, I got up in the middle of the night and I went up into the sanctuary. She said, and I just knelt in the presence of the Lord and I just began to worship Jesus. And she said the fullness of the Holy Spirit came on me, and she began to pray in a personal prayer language. And she said, do you know what happened from the time I left that moment with the Lord? She said, my desire to share Jesus, the boldness that I had to share Jesus with other people, was totally different. She worked as a bank teller at that time. She would go on to end her work, working 25 years with State Farm. And I tell you this, only eternity will reveal how many people were witnessed to, prayed over in that little tiny State Farm office in Camden, South Carolina, by a little petite Southern woman from Mullins, South Carolina. Why? Because of dunamis power, because of a thirsty soul that longed for everything Jesus had. As I told us last week, the Holy Spirit is the most important thing in this life that we have. And you and I need everything in our life and in this moment in time that he has to give us. That's just where we are. We need him, and we need all of him. And the book of Acts is full of the operating of these gifts inside of the lives of the apostles in the early church. And one of the most powerful things about the gifts and the power, dunamis power of the Holy Spirit, is not on this page anywhere, but it's in Acts 1:8. And Jesus was saying, you will receive power, there's that word again, dunamis, dynamite, when the Holy Spirit comes on you, and you will be my witnesses in Jerusalem and in all Judea and Samaria and to the ends of the earth. So the greatest thing the dunamis power of the Holy Spirit affords us is a boldness in our witness. Why is that? Because when that sponge gets fully saturated, it can't help itself but start to seep out. And it wants everyone that encounters it to know this Jesus that has transformed them. And that is why God said, when that Holy Spirit comes upon you, when that dynamite takes a hold of you, when that sponge is fully saturated in your life, you are going to become a dynamic witness of what Jesus has done in you. If your heart was encouraged today, please know that we have many other resources available for you. You can discover all of those at reclaiminghearts.org.